Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Spotter. Today, I'm joined by another guest and a very dear friend of mine. We've known each other for a very long time. Frazer, welcome to the podcast. I'm really happy to have you on. I know that, the podcast isn't absolutely massive at the minute, but I'm very grateful that you are taking the time out of your day, very busy schedule, and you're joining me to talk about all things life, things about behind your success, what's got you to where you are today, because you are a very successful entrepreneur, if anyone doesn't know. I'm sure that anyone the thing is that where you and me met, obviously at the gym that we're both at still, after all these years, a lot of the older members have moved on now, haven't they? So some people might not know who you are in our circle now. So anyway, welcome. If you'd like to do a little bit of an introduction as to who you are, just go ahead.
Well, first off, thanks, Joe, for having me on.
Pleasure.
I've followed sort of your journey since we've known each other, and I've always been impressed by your tenacity and your drive, and always saw a bit of a spark. So I'm pleased to see that you're getting into it and
finally taking steps. Yeah,
it's great. It takes its time, right?
I know.
And you can only go when you're ready. So I'm Frazer. I've been we met at the gym joint. The immediate plug.
There you
go. Way back when. Back when the gym had white walls and the IOU jar.
Yes,
still there.
I don't know if that was there for me, but you joined in. It opened in 2016, I think, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I joined in 2018.
Yeah.
So you are in the OG phase.
I think. I'm sure Aaron this. I don't know. I think I was member 11 or 12. So right back in the day when you'd come in and there was the
infamous.
It's called not an
member
IOU
wall.
jar. It's called a trust. I don't know. There's like a trust jar. And there was pre-workout. And you put a couple of quid in and all of that. It was great.
I do not remember that at all. Maybe it wasn't there when I joined, but I remember there was the member wall that lasted quite a long time.
Yeah.
But obviously, as places grow, we couldn't fit everyone on there. Yeah.
So we're a long time now. As you can tell, I've been at the gym for years and years.
Don't cheapen it, mate. Everyone's journey's different.
Everyone's journey's different. Especially Harry from last week. Harry might be listening to this. You are massive, mate.
He is massive.
So I've obviously been there, and my background, I've grew up in sort of this area sort of all my life really. I'm into sort of the tech world. I'm a nerd by trade. And some of the stuff I've been doing sort of around being, the word is entrepreneur. I don't like it. It's a really fancy word for self-employed.
We'll touch on this, but
I'm pretty good at being self-employed.
Yeah.
That's sort of what I'm doing. What I suspect I'm destined to do, as much as I might protest it. Thanks for having me on there.
My pleasure. And obviously, with the podcast, its mission is to delve deep into conversations with people that are successful, that are going through things, people that have been there, done that type of situations, and also just friends of myself. I'm never going to, in years to come, I still want to be able to draw back to individuals like yourself that have been a part of the journey, that have been in my life a long time, even get people like my mother on if she still approves, because these are conversations that people need to hear, people that have got a story to tell. People that have overcome stuff, in the last episode as well, with every guest I've had on, they've all got their own story to tell. And through these conversations, through talking, we can then start to help other people, and you just create this, the pattern of help, basically. Talking helps, superpower.
Absolutely.
So really the direction of the conversation is just led by us. And obviously I wanted to have you on because you are a very successful individual, and I want to know, what is everyone else doing wrong? Like, how do we be such I'm joking. But you basically, you're always working. You're someone I look towards as a role model, and I've known you for a very long time, and you've been aware. I appreciate you saying that you saw like a spark in me early days, even though they were the days where I probably just came into the gym to escape my life. But
sure. Yeah.
I do appreciate that. And that some of those conversations, because for anyone that doesn't know, me, Frazer, and a couple of other people at the gym at the time would always train from the hours of 9 p.m. onwards. It was like the real sort of like grungy, dark side of the gym. You'd come in, it would be dark everywhere. There'd be heavy metal playing, and you would know that you'd see the same faces over and over again. And some of the best sessions of my life, honestly. And we had some mega conversations in there. But as time went on, I knew that you were someone that was going to be going places, and you quote unquote, you have been successful. You've as you alluded to, you're a techie. You know, I am a techie, but I'm not in the space of building things. I'm not building apps. So Frazer, if you could go into actually what you've, you know, what's your like almost employment background? What have you done to work to where you are today? And what are you doing still in the future? Why aren't you resting?
Yeah, great. That's a great question. So I'd like to go back to the gym bit as well, but I'll you know, because those are some great days.
They really were.
But yeah, it's just, I guess, just on me. I went to university of computer science. Anyone that's listening that's looking to go to uni, I would only go to have a really good time. There's very few times you can have that sort of experience in life, where you have very little responsibility, you know, can have a good time and to meet some amazing people. Definitely do that. Throw yourself at the social side of things. Do a placement year. It's almost, I would say, the only valuable thing you get out of that top portion of education. And then because of my degree, I didn't take very much out of it. So, but my placement, I managed to get a spot at Mercedes F1, which was great. And I'm a huge petrol head. So that was really formative for me. And that sort of set me on my path. But, you know, we'll go on to family and stuff like that. And it's sort of what made you who you are. But did that, then joined Mars, sort of the big FMCG, equally an exceptional company, which so learned a lot, was on the grad scheme there. That's where I met my co-founder, a guy called Amos, who's now essentially a brother.
Love that.
You know, inseparable as individuals now. And then, we started a business called WalkUp, which was essentially a queue management booking product for restaurants. So if you've ever been out in London, particularly sort of pre-COVID, so we started that right at the end of 2017. And essentially we're standing in a line for a restaurant for an hour and a half, and you can pretty much 3D print a kidney, but you have to wait an hour and a half in line for eggs. And it's like, nah, there's got to be something better than this. So cobbled together a product between, you know, a few of us, and then launched the product. And sort of over those few years that followed up on the run to COVID, we were the name in queuing for restaurants in London, which was great. You know, awesome to give people their time back. And great to build something that you felt was, you know, making a difference.
Oh, and also just quickly to interject there, it's the classic case of problem solution. You know, found a problem, thought can't be dealing with this. What's the solution to this? How do I improve this? Because it's an annoyance in my life, so it must be for other people. So that's actually a really good entry point. So then we did that. COVID hit, was obviously, you know, for restaurants was catastrophic. So we furloughed people and did all of that, but Amos looked after, and you know, still looks after all the sales stuff of what we're doing today, which is different. But in his talent, managed to land us with Bicester Village, which most people will know as sort of an outlet place in Oxford, or you know, just south of Oxford. They actually have locations all over Europe. So I didn't know that.
Neither did we until, you know, Amos managed to land a deal, and you know, we had to scrabble. And most people will tell you stories of COVID where they were sitting in their garden doing nothing. I've never worked harder than COVID. Yeah. I think we're averaging like 110 hours a week.
Wow.
So it was rough. So did that, and then got the business through COVID, came out the other side. Queuing was obviously everywhere at that point. So, you know, we were seating about 3.5 million people a month. And then,
insane.
We were going through Series A. You know, we were going to be the table tennis table, you know, beanbag startup, classic vibe. And as we were doing that, we got approached by a company called Dojo, which you might know is the payments business with sort of the white card machines.
Yep.
They bought the business in, when was it now? 2021.
Yeah.
And that was obviously transformative to sort of everyone involved. And it was there for a few years as a sort of a VP on their sort of executive team. And
was
then
overseeing as well.
Yeah. So we essentially joined, and then sort of we were moved around the business to sort of lead various things. And then, recently sort of departed that business to start on the new project.
So it's like, tell me a bit about that then, because we talk about entrepreneurship as this, you know, it's a glorified term, like you said. That's what you think is just self-employed. So, you know, there's a lot of individuals out on YouTube now that are pushing this mantra that anyone can be an entrepreneur. And would you agree with that? Like, it is a simple case of, if you we'll come on to like if you're actually made for that type of thing, but anyone in theory could be that type of person,
Yeah, I think pretty much anyone could be. There are times when people will come to me and ask about business, and you look for the spark, the thing that I see in you. And I'm not an oracle, but you get a feeling, right? The first thing that I'll always try and do, and you might remember it too. When I was saying, you were doing all this stuff, and you would, starting, dating your fiance, Abby.
Yeah.
And I was like, look, you sure? Like, if you do these things, it puts a strain on your relationship and stuff like that. And are you sure? And basically, all I do is test how much people are willing to sacrifice, because ultimately that's all that really matters. It's like grit. If you want to do something, how badly do you want it? Because if it's the thing you want most, you'll almost certainly achieve it.
You always find a way.
But if it isn't, then you won't.
Yeah.
Because someone else will have the idea, and it will be the thing they want the most, and they'll beat you. There are so many ways to, your utopia. Being an entrepreneur or being self-employed or building a business is not the only one.
Yeah.
I don't, anyone could, but it's when you're faced with the brass tacks of what it takes.
Yeah, and that's when a lot of people will pull away and be like, "That's not for me." Yeah,
and I think some people find that hard, or they think they're weaker or lesser. So it's like you're just not mental.
Yeah,
like I genuinely think
you're normal. Yeah,
like you're a perfectly functioning human being. Yeah. Like it's totally normal to not want to give up everything else in your life to do this thing. Like that's not a bad thing. 99% of startups fail in the first 3 years. Your failure is almost certain.
But then you could put it on its head and say, look, fail fast, learn quick. It's
100%.
like if it's not meant to be, fail fast and then figure something else out, or go back to what you was doing. Okay, that wasn't for me. Yep. I'm going to stick to what I was doing, and then maybe in 5 years' time, I'll try something else or move somewhere else. It's not like you've alluded to, like employed life. That structure isn't for everyone, and also starting your own thing isn't for everyone. But there's not just those items. You could work with somebody else on something. You could be employed and have a side hustle. There's multiple ways to do things. So yeah, I think we're just very much like a hustle culture. I'm actually quite impressed I managed to switch the two words around there.
Well done.
But like, I think we're pushed that this is, you either are employed working for someone else and you never fully own your life, or you have all your, I know you have your time back, but then you might have your time back, but ultimately if you want to be successful, you won't have your time back because you are working till God knows what time.
It's people say it's to be my own boss. It's like, this gig isn't for you. If you run your own business, you're the bottom of the pecking order. You have your team, your customers, the tax man, everyone's your boss. Everybody. You're the last. So it's not a.
I mean, with you, when did you? In terms of like being employed, and you've talked about your placements and where you've worked and what you've learned. So you've obviously learned a lot throughout the years. So your practical skills as well, and being in and around these successful businesses. But when did it hit you actually that I'm meant for something else? I'm meant to be doing my own thing. Yeah,
it's kind of tough. This is where sort of I think it is in your nurture. So, you talk about family on here a lot, which I like.
Always.
I grew up, with both my mum and my dad running a business together. So I watched. It was normal for me to have your parents come in at 11 p.m. To be out at the weekend working, or at their desks working. That was completely normal to me.
Yeah. The
notion of a 9 to 5 has always been strange to me. So from those moments, but then funnily enough, the growing up, both me and I have a sister who's also self-employed. We grew up with our parents always telling us to not do our own business. Really? Don't do it. Do not employ anyone under any circumstances. Don't do it.
And you're both doing that, we
both do it.
Yeah.
And I just suspect that's sort of how we were raised and how we grew up. But employed life, it was great. Mars was a fantastic organization. You can, if you work for a big company, you can see the world. You can do loads of great things. You're as long as if you work for the big four, you work in bank, sure, you're going to work mega hours. But you'll earn mega money. So it depends on what matters. So for me, I think I think it was just sort of what I perceived as normal. So growing up, watching that, getting into Mars, after the funny thing is coming out of Formula One, where the work ethic was unreal. I grew up with watching strong work ethic. My first real job was in strong work ethic. Mars was great, but maybe a bit slow.
Yeah. And
then the idea actually wasn't my idea. It was Amos's idea. He came to me and said, what do you think? It's I was like, yeah, okay, this is it. This is the moment. And it just felt normal. And then when I went home to tell my parents, I was about to finish the grad scheme and all, I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this employed career behind that's going well, and I'm going to earn naught. And it's going to be
alarm bells. Yeah.
Yeah. To be fair to them, they were great. They knew that there's very little they could say, because of the example they had set for the last 25 years. So
I guess in their heads, they were just like, look, we've experienced this. We've, built a world for you as well. Please just maybe, go off and just be secure, but obviously, in your head, you probably thought, no, there's more to me than meets the eye. Maybe I want to go and explore this world and again, fail fast if you need to. And, it's great that what you guys have built, the two of you, and obviously now that's expanded into, I imagine, a load of individuals that have been a part of the journey. Which is great, obviously, because you can all share in the success. It must be amazing, especially the two of you, when you ponder on these things and look back and be like, we built something. We got it from A to the end. Wherever the end may be. Like it must be amazing just to see something like your baby just grow up and they'd be like, yep, that's it. We're a part of that, part of this big world. I think that the glaringly obvious question is why haven't you stopped? Why are you carrying on?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's funny. I'm a desk to mess with it, but I always keep £1 on my desk.
Yeah. About
turning £0 into £1. And if you turn 0 into 1, you can turn 1 into 2, and so you go. Yes, I mean we can sort of get like the sell of the business was without doubt one of the worst things I've ever been through. Like tested me like real depths, of mental anguish going through that process. And I remember coming out the other side when it happened. I remember telling Amos and telling quite a few people, Ryan, who a common friend of ours, if I ever do another business, like punch me really hard, because I'm going to forget how bad, like how women forget what childbirth is like. Whereas if you actually remembered childbirth, you probably wouldn't do it again.
Yeah.
But you're programmed to forget. Same thing. But nevertheless, doing another project, we can sort of maybe get into that in a bit. I don't know why. We both had ideas in the space.
The two of you again doing it.
Two of us again.
Nice.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it with anyone else.
If it's not broke, don't try and fix it. Yeah, exactly.
That is one thing. I have the most respect for solo founders. I mean, that is something I know I couldn't do. I couldn't do it on my own. Amos is, he's good when I'm bad, and he's good when I'm bad. We do so well together. So we both had ideas sort of in the spaces in property tech.
Nice.
And we're like, okay, well, all right. Once it's there, that's it.
You can't go back. Yeah.
Can't put it back in its box. It just can't be done. At least not for us anyway.
Yeah.
It is different this time around. You have more backing. You're self-backed. Maybe we'll take investors one day if the product's good enough. But it's different this time around. But even last time, in the walk-up days, there was another founder, and that did not end well. And we have another guy, another co-founder this time around who we've met, sort of through work, and he's great. So
good.
The team is everything. So when you've got the right people and the right idea,
it's cliche, isn't it? But people make situations, businesses, things like this. That's where the success really boils down to. It's the people. So
completely.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it sounds like you two are solid in that regard, and obviously you've been through it before, and I'm sure this will work. It'll be fantastic to hear some more into this at some point without revealing too much.
I don't even know about it all. It's just
great. I'll just get my pen and paper.
I'll just pitch it. Yeah. I do. It's called Get Keys.
Nice.
And essentially, it's around a similar problem statement. Amos and I bought our properties. After we sold the business. Horrendous process. Anyone who's listening who has bought their house, I don't know you, but if you bought property in the UK, I will bet you anything your process was horrendous. You had solicitors who didn't like you, who it doesn't matter if you buy the property or not, they're still going to get paid. Estate agents who press you into the sale, the seller. There's no one on the buy side. In America, you do. You have a buyer's agent, but the buyer's agent is paid a percentage of the sell fee. So they're on your side, but they get paid assuming you buy the house and assuming you buy it for as much as possible. That's not on your side. So we want to fix that. So essentially, it's a product that gives you reports on the property you want to look at. We delve into as much data as we can find sort of throughout government data sources and everything else to give you a good report on what the property is like. And then we match you to a property developer who will guide you through the process. Because, it's the biggest financial decision you ever make.
Yeah.
By far the biggest decision you ever make. But I'd wager you probably spend more time per second thinking about a car purchase.
Yeah.
You look at the tyres, you look at this, you look at the chips on the bonnet. Whereas a house, you will see it twice. Get a surveyor's report and buy it.
It's quite crazy, actually. Yeah, and it's probably more of those things where people say, even if you, because again, sadly, me and Abby still haven't got our own place yet. But I've spoken to you, and actually, it might be a little bit, almost like a bit of a silver lining, because in my head and her head as well, we've sort of come to it maybe like, actually, maybe we're meant to be somewhere else, and maybe right now it isn't the right thing for us. Maybe we're just focused on building ourselves first. Like we've spoken about this. You shouldn't have to be forced into buying a property. And we also, as much, I personally think you shouldn't demonize either way. You shouldn't demonize renting. You shouldn't demonize purchasing. Like, as much as people say, when you're renting, you're paying someone else's mortgage. Well, yeah, okay, cool. Pin it whatever way you want, but you are getting a place for what there is a transaction there, like regardless. And for some people, it's not an option. Like they have to if they need to find a place. So in whatever world you're in, it's fine. But I fully appreciate what you're saying about the purchasing journey, because we've come so close to free properties in the last 2 years, and they all fell through at the end because of the survey results. No matter how much research you try and do on your own, the process is stressful. You can't find what you need. You have to do the X amounts of surveys. You probably need to do like a level 3 to get in the UK to get the most amount of detail. And even then, you might need to do more work and get people to come and look at the property. But you're so right there. There actually is. I think if we'd have had, I assume something that you're building, which what I'm getting with the correct information, available at our fingertips, it would have made the process so much more stress-free, because the thought of doing that again, that's why we're just like, nah, wait until next year. Yeah.
And home buying, people in the continent don't buy homes, and people will tell you, and it's ingrained in sort of the way we're brought up in the UK, right? It's a good investment. If you'd have put a deposit in 2010 into Nvidia, your house would not have increased that much. I can guarantee you that. So it's there's so many ways. No, every journey is different. So
100%. But no, that sounds wicked. Again, obviously, wish you all the success with that. And I want to, especially as your friend, I want to hear about the journey, of course. Sure. And at some point, if we can get you on the podcast to talk even more about that, at some point, that'd be great. Sure. Because a lot of people, I'm sure, will get a benefit out of this and the idea of building things. So, so we're understanding that you don't want to slow down as much as you might say you do at some points. You're telling people to tell you to stop, but you obviously don't. It's deep rooted in you. So, and it's clear to see that that's obviously come from your upbringing. So could you delve into a little bit about that? So a key thing for me, as you've alluded to there, is family for me is big. And that theme will push through in this podcast. That's what started it, the fact that I've been through, certain scenarios and instances in my life as, is what's made me today. Like you and me are aware, like we've spoken many a times about things that have happened in my past. The gym's been almost like a form of therapy.
Absolutely.
It's as much as people say, why do you spend so many hours there? It's like, well, it's not just about the training. It's about the conversations you have in there. And I'm grateful for the place, for the relationships that I've got today. So, yeah, I think with me, with family being so key in who I am today and hopefully where I'm going, like it's clear that your upbringing was very much, it sounds quite a lot different to mine. Like
Yes.
it's bred you into this,
Yeah.
successful individual that wants to build and create. And
Yeah.
where did that come from initially? Was it mum? Was it dad? Or was it just a hybrid of the both of them? What was your school life like?
Oh, yeah. So, upbringing's been very different. Obviously, I know a lot about your upbringing, both from our conversations, but from your earlier podcasts.
Yeah.
From hearing sort of your other guests as well. Every journey is different. Mine was, on the whole, like good. I have nothing really to complain about. Everyone's got their things and their foibles. My upbringing generally was academia. Was sort of, I say it's wrong, like intelligence. So my dad and my uncle have both sadly passed away. I think our dad sort of passed away sort of fairly close together as well. Were both in Mensa. So for Mensa is a high IQ like club basically. So I grew up seeing that and like sort of the power of words.
Yeah.
I grew up like desperate to have a really strong grasp of the English language because I saw what my dad could do with words. I always found that. And to this day, I find this so impressive when people are eloquent. I just think it's amazing. It's like art to me. So grew up sort of seeing that. My parents are both sort of, kids they're born in the 40s. So they were teenagers in the 60s, meaning they've got very little, or had very little leg to lean on when it came to being sort of difficult growing up because they were partying in the 60s. So they were both musicians. So music and all that was a big part of sort of our growing up. It was an unusual time when me and my sister would be the ones coming downstairs asking our parents to be quiet.
Yeah.
Rather than, because
nice though. Yeah.
Yeah, the music was too loud and their friends round and so it was a loud sort of upbringing. But yeah, they ran their own business sort of in sort of various guises sort of throughout my life. And it was sometimes were good, other times were horrific. So I've seen relative boom. We were never particularly well off, but I have seen bust. And you will see where my desire for financial freedom was the most important thing to me in the world. So it led me, I wouldn't say I did walk up to make money. I think if you get into a business to make money, it's not likely to succeed. You have to believe in the mission. But financial freedom was critical to me because I'd seen, really not great things, growing up. You hear the arguments, you understand what the word bankruptcy means, sort of the age of 6, you wear hand-me-down clothes, even though you have a sister, it's, that stuff was rough.
Yeah.
So seeing that, and seeing the upset and seeing the turmoil and the stress, was rough, so I always sort of knew that I could never have that. That was never a scenario I could ever be in.
It's almost like it lit something in you to be like,
sure.
No, that's not me. Yeah.
I think I have a pathological fear of having no money.
Okay.
And it's that you hear people say money doesn't bring you happiness. It's like, try being poor.
I bet it damn helps. Yeah.
Like there is no doubt having money is not a panacea. Like it's not going to bring you total. If you are sad, it's not going to take away your sadness, but
you need to work on yourself. Yeah.
It means if you don't have to wake up about worrying to pay about paying a bill, it's
to jump in on that.
Sure.
I think it's really important here to almost for individuals listening to look at your upbringing, because I do this quite a lot as well, and I realised that, and I think we've spoken about this in passing as well, is that the way I am today is because of what I saw as well. Now, as you said, you alluded to, like, mum and dad striving to be successful, running businesses, so that you've got that in you. You're probably like, okay, that's an approach to life that I'm being brought up around. So it's probably going to be me as well. But you're hearing things like bankruptcy, you're seeing struggles, you had the hand-me-down clothes. You're thinking like, hold up, so they're running their own business, but we're still struggling on that end. So you're thinking to yourself, this can't work. So there has to be there has to be a difference. So when you grow up, hence you're building, with a mission so that you never have to struggle per se. With me, I'm extremely protective over my funds, my finances. So because I've never had any money in that sense, like, I'll be honest, like mum with her illnesses, she hasn't been able to work consistently. And because with bipolar as well, you get into a situation where you can never actually guarantee what your mood's going to be on a day-to-day basis. So that makes it really difficult to work. So the medication only does so much. If you're going to relapse, you'll relapse. There isn't anything that you can really do about it. It kind of keeps you to a stable point. But if there are trigger points that change how you perceive the world or how you perceive yourself, then suddenly you can spiral. And mum was very talented. She did a lot of things. She was very caring. She worked in social care. She did qualifications there. She worked for, I think back in the day, because when you come out of school, you typically get jobs in factories and places like that. She did a lot of office work for, I can't remember if there's a local place nearby, but she was there for 5-6 years. She worked at Mars in the evenings when she had her children. So it would be like her first partner my sister's father would come home, and then she would go out in the evenings to do evening work at Mars factory. She did a social care qualification. So she's never been shy of work. She does charity work now. She's done 2 aid trips to Kosovo. Honestly, she's an amazing woman. And without all the health complications, I'm sure she would be thriving in a business, doing whatever she was destined to do, care, whatever. But she's always been off, from a certain point in time, we've had to live off the system. And that's just been normal for us. And my dad, he would never hold down work. He was, I think with his upbringing, he was always almost told that he was never good enough. He wanted to be a jockey. He was very talented. And his dad told him how bad he was, how crap he was, would never show him any praise. Again, influenced by a lot of alcohol being in his life as well. So his dad almost, that was normal to him. So he went down that route and that changed his life. So he was never able to hold down work as well. So
sad.
Yeah, it is sad. But what it did for me is I was like, okay, you need to be very academic. You focus at school, you crack on, you do well in your exams. I followed that typical route for a youngster. Make sure you do well at school. Have fun, but study. That's key. Studying is key.
Yeah.
And then when I look back now, I'm like, wow, most of the stuff you studied and learned, you've never used since you left. But it is what it is. So I followed that path. But I always said to myself, whatever money you earn, you keep hold of. It's yours. You protect your funds. You save, you invest it, try and make more, but make sure you are secure. And I think what that's done to me is, and obviously I'm taking steps now as we realise, but it's made me is it's almost made me like frightened about taking steps out of into the unknown, because I'm like, I don't want to lose what I've built. Because I don't want to be. I know, but when you think to yourself, you're meant for other things. Hence why I'm doing the podcast. I know I'm meant to help people, but it's just interesting hearing that. And then I sort of look back on myself and think, why are you so protective? It's because of your upbringing. You've never had anything, so you want to protect what you have earned. So I get it, mate. You go on these journeys because of what you see when you're growing up. So sorry, I just wanted to jump in there, but you were sort of talking about that and what you saw and what that did to you. And I don't think we jumped onto your childhood in terms of school and things like that. But
it's I think just you'd see that you heard later on in life because it's sort of similar to a lot of dads in sort of who are sort of similar to our age groups do not talk about anything, so there's only stuff I heard about sort of, later on through other channels. Like, he would want to step in front of the train at Gerrard's Cross and stuff like that. Really heartbreaking stuff,
wow, okay.
So you grapple with, in many ways, and I think, men as a whole, grapple with a lot of these things, particularly as I think many guys still want to be the protector, the provider. Growing up with dad, mum had to walk on the inside of the pavement, so I can't walk on the inside of the pavement.
It's exactly what I do now,
right? And if we have a family and I have he will walk on the outside of the pavement. A generational thing. And I think the generational negative that is passed from guy to guy is you do not you bottle.
Just close it up.
As much as as you're told open up, you you find a way to keep the stopper in. So yeah, you hear about, stuff like that, and, hidden under tables, and there have been arguments and stuff like that. So some bleak stuff, but on the whole, my parents were together sort of till the end. My dad passed away in 2020 just before COVID. And that was, he was my hero. So it was a pretty horrendous experience. Even that though, I rationalized, he passed away in his sleep, no pain prior to COVID, so we got to have a huge funeral. So I rationalised that entire experience. While there are people who lost their family in COVID, who had to say bye over FaceTime. Like, can you imagine that?
Yeah.
So
I honestly wouldn't even want to. That angers me. All of that period angers me. Yeah.
So that's how I rationalise my sadness. That all right. Sadly, the loss will come to many of us.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that was that. And then as far as school goes, ironically, I said that's why earlier I said academia, but I corrected to intelligence. Like, I grew up reading encyclopedias. Like, I love knowledge. Like, I like knowing, but my God, I was terrible at school.
Really?
Couldn't study. Couldn't do it. Very little came to me. I love D&T. There are things I liked, but I just didn't like school. Not, as far as unhappiness goes, I went to, I'll happily mention me. I went to John Hampden.
Yeah,
and
very good school.
Hated it.
Yeah,
hated it. So it was what the worst years of my life were at that school. And I've been somewhat fortunate throughout my life. I've always had sort of long-term relationships, and that sort of kept me sort of steady. And I think sort of growing up, watching mum and dad, together for 40 odd years, that was always like, you have a stable partner. So
100%. Yeah.
So I had that, which was nice, sort of through those years, but. My God, hated school. So,
what was it about school? Was it just the studying aspect, or was it?
Brilliant.
Was it relation?
Brilliant. My God, yeah, horrendous. And because I wasn't the biggest kid. I was tall. I'm tall. But I wasn't the biggest kid. And and as a result, you literally stick out more. I think for those of us that are as tall as we are, it's great. Love being tall. It's brilliant.
You are really tall, mate.
6'6", I think so, but. There are huge drawbacks to it, not just that you don't fit through doors and you can't fit on airplanes.
Yeah.
It's when you're in assembly, you're literally standing out, even when you're sitting down. So you can't mess about. You're forced to grow up at a rate faster than most because you can't hide in the crowd.
Yeah.
So, and as a result, that draws both positive and negative attention.
Honestly, there was a point in which I was told, "Oh, you're going to be so tall when you grow up," and obviously I'm 6'2", and I mean, I think it's above the average for the UK. But yeah, I can imagine something you can't help being in view, especially in school. Like school was so shit for this sort of stuff because I must say I was never bullied, but there were things that went around about obviously mum, and you'd have to try and almost like rationalize it and make it like an inside joke with people to try and cope with it.
Sure.
And then people, when they see it's not bothering you, it's just kept away. And so I'm like, okay, cool. But you literally can't help that. So I understand, mate.
Imagine being 12 and having to execute social engineering.
Yeah.
It's huge. And, I went to school pre-social media. I cannot imagine what it must be like now. I had MSN. That was that was my era.
What was it? MSN and Bebo and all those type ones.
I was not a Bebo kid, but MSN was my vibe.
Yeah.
So yeah, just hated school. That was horrendous. But then I moved from there to the Beaconsfield School.
Did you move because of bullying, or was it?
I'm a grade for shit.
Okay.
But I wouldn't have wanted to stay even if I did.
Yeah.
There was definitely an element of wanting to make my parents proud. Like, you grew up, you mentioned earlier, like nothing you ever did was good enough. Mum and dad definitely had that in them. Like, even if I was accomplished at table tennis, so, was highly ranked nationally and, was good. And if I'd win a tournament, it was always, but you made it hard for yourself. It's like, I literally have the winner's thing here. Like, I can't do better than this thing. And it was always, but that point you could have won. But they were always, in their way, spurring you on. Both me and my sister, music was mandatory, sports was mandatory. And a lot of their stuff was one of the they both gave mantras that were big with both mum and dad, and to be interesting, you must be interested. Was one that stuck with me. And I don't think it's original from them. I think it's in a few business books, but they gave it to me first. Just the notion of you've got to be interested in things to be an interesting person.
Yeah.
So I always tried to have that with me, and through then through school, watching how smart Dad was. He wanted us to be, both me and my sister, to be academic. Bless, neither of us were, but moved to Beaconsfield School, and I have a core group of friends there who I'm unbelievably close to today.
Good.
So I'm very lucky in that respect. So yeah.
As I say, you say about the academic side of things. Yeah. Okay. Granted, you didn't fit that picture. Okay. Cool. But look at what you've both. I don't obviously know what your sister's done, but it sounds like you're both successful in your own right. So pat on the back for that, mate.
Yes.
I'm very sure Dad would be proud. I'll delve into that, but with you speak about the side of things. Yeah, with my parentage, I think that because of what they'd been, I say dealt. I know that with alcohol, you're choosing to, you're choosing to facilitate a addiction over time, I suppose. But you can't. It's not as simple as being I'm only talking from Dad's perspective, but he had opportunities to stop. He tried, and then he went back to it. So it's okay. But maybe that was just a part of him at that point, and I would never know because that was his struggle. But with what they were dealt, I think with me, they poured so much as Mum had an hard upbringing with her dad, and my dad did as well. They never brought any of that baggage onto me. It was very much and they struggled to be together, but when they worked so well.
Yeah.
But then it would only last for 2 years, and then suddenly they'd split again. The black bags are outside the front door. And then we're going through that process again. So I saw that a lot. So I saw the instability a lot. So, but what I got from both of them always was a unified sense of love. Always, they could never be proud of me. Whatever I could have come fifth. I don't necessarily agree with all of that, but it doesn't matter the results, whatever. They would always be proud of me, and they would let me do whatever I wanted to do. Nothing was off the table. If I wanted to try this, they'd find a way. For example, we had no money, but I wanted to take up drumming because one of my best friends was a drummer. And I was like, I want to do that. It's so cool. I loved music. I've always been around it. And I was like, I want to be a drummer. Dad was like, I'll find a way. Found the money for, I don't know how, but he found the money for my drum kit. He bought me a drum kit. He found the money for continuous blocks of drum lessons for me. And I'm very grateful for that. He'd always find ways of. I know it's an inside joke about split parents, but Dad would always be the one that found the fun stuff. He'd find a way for you to get the drum kit, the consoles, to go off, to the cinema and all these things. But Mum would be the stable one. She would make sure food's on the table. She would make sure that I'm fed. Washed. Have a place to live. But they always provided a safe, proud space for me, and I'm grateful for that. I never got that. What they had to deal with growing up. So I think it's bred this individual in me that wants to, again, make them proud. And as much as I'm working on myself and trying to take these uncomfortable steps in life, I know that however long it takes, I will get there, But it sounds like you and your dad had a very close relationship. And I know that at the time when you and me obviously spoke in the gym about it, it shocked me. It hit me because I knew he was struggling in that sense as well. I know that he passed in his sleep, which, as you said, you try and rationalise. But it's a difficult instance, mate, and I completely understand. But how did Dad's passing affect you?
Yeah, it was hard. Even now, it's 5 years on. You have moments where it grips you, and it's not nice. It was difficult. I was always very, very close to him. I would say I spent a good chunk of my childhood being quite afraid of him. I always found him quite intimidating, but he never did anything. He definitely had a drink, but he didn't. He wasn't an alcoholic. So there were those moments of high stress and stuff like that where you see what someone's capable of. Nothing extreme, but you see it. So I always had sort of a bit of maybe a healthy fear of your old man. Just he's a big guy as well.
And also you respected him, yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
Also, and then ultimately, like kind of like you and like most people, just wanted him to be proud of me.
Yeah.
So yeah, the business was doing well. He always had a lot to say, and I think sort of some of the difficulty was it looked like even in those days, Walk Up was going to be a very successful company, and that would have outstripped the success that he had achieved, which I think on one hand was probably he's very proud, and on the other hand maybe not so much, because he had to sort of look himself in the mirror with that. So those years were interesting, sort of as the company sort of grew, but ultimately I knew he was proud. So yeah, when it happened, he basically had heart problems, arrhythmia and stuff like that, but nothing that would have signaled this was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was sort of a January morning, and gone to work like usual. And the thing was, I remember at the time, like the night before. Funny, I've lost my headphones today. I always use my headphones, and I'd lost my headphones, and he was helping me look, and it was like 1 a.m, and he was helping me look because we were both working. It wasn't uncommon that we'd both be sitting like next to on our laptops at like 2 a.m, and it was just some of my happiest memories.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was like, gotta go to bed. And he helped me look for my headphones. And before we went to bed, I told him that I loved him. And I say that in passing. I've got a lot. I'm a loving guy, but Dad and I never said it that much. And I'm not a religious person. The opposite. I'm not a faith person. I'm not.
Yeah.
None of that. But for some reason, it happened as it did. And I went to work, and then I got the call from Mum, and I was a mess. And then sort of towards the end of January, we had the funeral, and it was amazing. The hundreds of people there.
Awesome.
It was humbling to see how many lives he had touched, and the stories that I didn't know. But you bear the pain forever.
Yeah.
The moments that that you won't get. He didn't get to see me in one frame of the world succeed.
Yeah.
He didn't see the exit. The best parts of the success from Walk Up were everyone who was in the business had shares, and a good amount of them.
Yeah.
So I remember I had a number two at the time, a girl called Maggie, who was my number two. She was basically my shadow for 3 years. And we were a great team, and we had to keep the exit quiet because obviously, you did what you don't want to do is tell your team we're selling and then it falls through. You can't do that. You break people's hearts. But being able to ring someone and be like, your life is from this phone call, from this second to this second, your life is going to change immeasurably. And to have those moments, and then afterwards to be able to help your family, and all of that, they're the best. It's the best, to be able to have a child that has return on investment. So to be able to help Mum, the one thing I never will get to do is to give Dad that return on investment. Of the 30 years that he looked after me, I would have loved to have spent the next 30 years looking after him. And I'll never get that. And it's sort of it forces you to be quite introspective. So when it came to exiting the business, it was happening, not happening, happening, not happening. And there are so many things that are going on when you're selling a business. The way the tax structure is, the way your agreements are, getting your investors lined up. It's a minefield, except every step is a mine.
Yep.
And the mine will either hurt you or kill you. Like there's no getting through cleanly. It's painful. And it will cost you mentally, financially, physically. It's huge. It's massive. So, we were going through the exit, and it was happening, not happening, happening, not happening. If it didn't happen because of things that had happened with, people that had left the business, it might well have meant the death of the company.
Really?
And when you look back from 2017, lost dad. I had a 9-year relationship at the time.
Yeah.
That I walked away from in 20 minutes. Because at the time I hold no ill will to Sarah, but she basically just wanted the relationship to progress. She wanted to move out, which was
completely fine.
Totally human.
Yeah.
But I couldn't move out. I couldn't afford it. I had to put the money into the company. We were taking peanuts from it. We had no salary for 2 years. So that relationship came to an end.
Yeah.
And the list of sacrifices was a mile long. And when you're staring down the barrel of it not working, it's like, I'm not sure what I'm going to do if this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it takes you to desperately dark places.
But people need to hear this, though, because this is valuable. Someone that's been there and done that, okay? And
for sure.
You're still a young individual as well. So you've been through this at a very early stage in life.
Yeah.
And like you said, you've had... I remember at the time when this was happening. That was a long relationship. What was it, 9 years?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I remember when you were speaking to me about this, and we had conversations about, like, even in my life, about making decisions, and it made me think about things as well. And it will. But you're right in what you were saying, because in your head, you had either this will work or it won't. And in order to get here, I need to put my all in and basically block out anything that is going to stop me from achieving this. And at the time, sadly, it was your relationship.
But then, I those 3 years from 2017 to 2020 building the company, I didn't get to spend as much time with dad.
No.
So
it's a trade-off.
It's insane to say this statement, but I was like, I didn't get to see my dad. I saw him for 27 years prior to that, but in my head, I'm like, well, I could have had that time with him. And I would give everything I own to have him back. In a nanosecond, I'd give it all back and start again from zero. So, there's the price of success is enormous. So essentially, when he died, it was, I took a few days off work. That's it. Straight back to it, because
literally processing time. Yeah.
I just go, because you're always going to lose stuff on the roads to wherever you want to go. If you don't get to where you wanted to go, well, you lost everything for no reason. So even breaking up with Sarah, straight back to work the next day, because I lost that relationship. For what? Well, it's for walk up to be successful. Because sadly, the way I'm made is financial freedom was the most important. And no matter how much I would try to sell to her, look, wouldn't it be nice to not have to work or worry about money in 3 years? She would have sooner have been destitute, but had gone to Thailand and been on a beach watching the sunset with no money rather than have money. So
also, you can respect that as well, because this is it. And I thought about this a lot recently. Everyone's goals in life, whether or not they have them, that they're 5, they have 1, they have 20. Everyone has a different perception of life, and that's absolutely fine. But it's when we try and alter someone else's DNA, what they were born to do, what they're realizing, that's when it's incorrect. We have to allow people to go and do what they're meant to do, fail, learn, maybe revert back to what they were. No one has a right to try and tell people what they can and can't do in that regard. So, I respect it. These are big decisions you made as well. And obviously, carry on. Sorry, I didn't want to just butt in.
No, that was it. You made the impact of the loss of dad.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, that's a heavy price to pay.
Yeah.
So, it still hurts not being able to make good on it. I can do it with mum, and it's nice to be able to do it with mum. But maybe similar to you actually, everyone has enemies in their life, right? You've all got people that wronged you.
I try not to, yeah.
Good thing not to. Maybe you're maybe not as vindictive as I am. So everyone's got people that you're not that fan of. You can wish ill on someone, wish they were dead, whatever. It's loneliness for me.
Yeah.
I think loneliness is the single worst thing you can experience. And I know we spoke about this.
Yeah.
When dad died, I could not stop worrying about mum. And just like, loneliness is, awful, an awful thing to experience. And sort of you probably have it too, where there are phone calls that I need to make. Like I used to talk to mum because, I have this thing I want to talk about. But if I wanted to talk, mum she was the financial director of the company. She's an immensely smart and capable Scotswoman, I should say.
That's key. That part.
Heritage is important. Yeah. It's a Scotswoman is different to a woman. I'm reliably informed.
Built different. Yeah.
Different breed. There are things I need to talk to Dan about. And now that phone call goes nowhere because there is no one on that line that I can talk to about the things I need to talk to him about. And that's the thing that's, the thing that's so sad.
Yeah.
That part of life can never be replaced.
It gets me because I had a moment today where me and Abby we would literally she was actually just to turn the conversation in a completely different area. She was trying to figure out what song she wanted to do for her posing routine and her competitions coming up.
Yeah.
And I said, we were talking about songs and I played a Gladiator snippet. For anyone that doesn't know, here's a plug for my tattoo. It's Now We're Free in Gladiator type font, like probably Times New Roman, that sort of look. But that film means a lot to me. And me and Dad would just have these random chats every now and then. Because I was basically saying I'd probably pose to a segment of Gladiator. And me and Dad would just have these random phone calls sometimes where we would just talk about films that we loved. Do you remember this scene? Remember that? Like useless conversation, but it would always bring me so much comfort. And that's the thing I loved the most, just our random chats, our inside jokes, the things that no one else would understand that I can't do with anyone else now.
Yeah.
I can't have that conversation with him. I can't. And like you said, there are things you just need. You need. And I'll stand by this. I think there is a big importance of male role models and female role models in lives, especially men as well. And men and their fathers, I think it's a relationship I don't think people talk about enough nowadays. I don't know why, but I think a real strong individual, a strong man in a boy's life can make a difference. It really can. And as much as my dad struggled and he was dealt horrendous cards, he was a very strong individual for me, and I respect everything he taught me. You were on about the, walking on the, making sure females always walk on the inside.
Yeah.
Just these things that people almost. I had it with my friend the other day. Even with my friends, if they're not females, I'll be like, I'll naturally go on the outside. Why'd you do that? Oh, it's just ingrained in me. It's just what my dad taught me you had to do. Just these little things that sadly I think will get missed over time if it skips a generation in that sense. But mate, I fully appreciate that. I guess there are these conversations that you think to yourself, I can't have that. I need to. I can't have that anymore. And that hurts massively. And that's the thing I struggled with the most. It was when I really sat back and thought about it. At the time when Dad passed, I was fine. I had a week off work, had some time with Abby. I really needed just us together. That's all I needed. You sort of like, I'm grateful I had her at that time. I will say that. But
absolutely.
After that, poured myself into the gym. I was getting ready to go into a competition prep. So I was focused. But the minute I finished prep in 2022, I won the first show. I was bawling like mad. And then I finished prep. You go into this lonely space. And then that's when I struggled because I realized, oh crap. He hasn't been able to celebrate any of this with me. He hasn't seen my passion come to light. He never got to experience that with me. He won't see me and Abby form a life with each other in detail. He won't see how well Mum's doing that. All of these things. He won't see me go on to my next venture. We'll try these different things. That's what hurts. And mate, I can imagine you're sat there and you probably delve into it thinking, I wasn't able to do that for him, but I can for Mum. But I'm sure he wouldn't want to change what's happened in the sense of you picking success over him. And I don't mean to put it bluntly, but him being here in that sense, because I bet any money if he was able to just see the man you've become and what you've built and what you're going to go on to build, he would be so immensely proud of you, like everyone else that knows you. So just try. I know it's hard to take comfort in that, but maybe try sometimes.
Yeah. It's you do, right? It's like you say, it's the things you miss. I miss the runs to the dump. That's the thing I miss the most, actually.
Things that people wouldn't understand.
Yeah. So, but that's all you can do, really. It is just sometimes you get that. That's just the way life goes, really.
I know.
Fortunate that we had them in our lives, really.
This is it. For whatever snippet we had them, that was the most precious time, and we can look back on that now and be so fond of the memories we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that really pushed me, and he literally made me the man I am today with mum as well. So
Yeah.
I only have him to thank, really. So yeah.
These are the moments where you can look back and almost thank. We were talking about at the start, your upbringing. You can be grateful of the upbringing you had because it's made you the individual you are today, and it's led you to these life-changing decisions. And like you said, I bet those instances where you can have those phone calls of people that had shares, and I bet that was what was the feeling like being able to tell people your life's just this is something's going to change now, and you need to be sat down.
It was incredible. We were a small team. We're a team of sort of 8 or 9. But you're giving people, huge sums of money. You're bringing their life forwards 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's more than anything, when you're employing people, they have rents to pay, lives to live, so you worry about getting the money in to make sure they can live, and they put their trust in you. You've sold them on the dream. We're going to change the world with this product. And to be able to repay their trust, to say, like, we did it and you did it, and
you were a part of something special. Yeah.
And now you're in a different league.
Yeah.
You can have on your CV that you built and exited a business. Like, it's great to be a founder, and that's lovely. But at the end of the day, you can say, yeah, I was employing them 3, built the business, handled all the ops, exited the business, and it's a huge accolade to have on your CV. It is the best thing.
Yeah.
Like, it's, if I'm honest, it's kind of, we've, our third founder, in this new business hasn't had an exit, and I'm desperate to just be like, mate, I told you we'd do it.
Yeah.
And for him to have that moment. But the way you do it is, you're not chasing the money. You've got to, it's
a strong mission behind it. People need to buy into it. Yeah.
And it's, this is a thing that I find founders and, people who I don't think are sort of maybe cut out to do it, they spend a lot of their time promoting. They talk about it on LinkedIn. They identify immediately as entrepreneur. I have, people I look up to. So Ryan, so someone we know at the gym, like, he's very successful, and I look up to him massively. Damon, look up to him.
Yeah.
Many ways.
OG member. Yeah.
Many ways I look up to you. I always, whenever I was employing people, if someone was in exceptional shape, it's the thing you can't inherit, you can't buy, you can't cheat. Even if there's a massive misunderstanding of the way that testosterone and performance enhancing drugs work. You don't take them and become in shape. That's literally not how it works. So people who are in incredible shape can go through huge adversity, have massive amounts of self-control, huge amounts of grit, which is the thing you need to be successful in business as well as in bodybuilding. So looking at people like you who go through comp preps, who literally say no to life in exactly the same way a business owner says no to life. I'm saying, you're saying no to a donut. I'm saying no to a friend. You're in the same way you do the same thing. There's so many similarities. So watching you on your journey, going, I'm going to be a bodybuilder, and now having competed, having won competitions, and I was like, oh, mission achieved.
Yeah,
it's enormous. So in many ways, you inspire me. So I'm surrounded by people who inspire me and who I go, oh, maybe I could be more like them, or more like them, maybe a bit better. So it's great to have that around you too, just to push you forwards. But I find those people are humble.
Yeah,
I find it difficult, and we're all warped by social media. If you get people who are posting and they're all living in Dubai and they've got Lamborghinis and Bugattis, it's like, no, you don't understand. Like, that's just a movie.
Yeah,
you're watching a movie. You're not watching real life. And if you are, you don't know how it's worked. And you're going to have people who made money from Bitcoin. You are, and whether you like it or not, you're going to have people who bought meme stocks who did incredibly well, but people in the lottery.
Yeah, it's true.
So I find that the thing that if you're trying to go through a journey like this, staying away from stuff like social media. Like, I don't post on social media.
No, you don't. Yeah,
I don't. The I'm a petrol head, but I keep all of that away. Like, it's not, I just, remaining sort of grounded.
I think it's hard as well, because I can imagine in a world where you're building things, you're building apps, you're building these processes to sell on, hopefully in future, and you get people to buy in. It's probably difficult as well, because it would be easy to go on social media and promote these journeys, share what's going into the journey, and because it's the easy thing to do. It's easy to document. It is, as much as people are like, oh, got to, it's easy. You could document your life, and people buy into a story. I always do, but you're choosing not to do that, and I respect that as well, because social media consumes, honestly, everyone's lives in some way, and it's kind of scary, really. But I know it's just the new digital age we live in now. But yeah, I think you're right. There's a lot of it. There is a lot of fronting, and people are happy to post these segments of their lives where they are appearing like they're successful. And then you've got this era of individuals that feels like they are worthless. They are not doing enough because they haven't got the supercar, they haven't got the house. But really, when you sit back and think about what you've always wanted in life, did you want a Lamborghini when you were a youngster? Did you want this house on a lake? I think you're just being sold these dreams and things that you don't actually want. When I sit down and really think about it, I just want meaningful relationships in life. That's it. That's it. Literally it. Money, might help, but just to be able to connect to people and do something that can help other people. This right here is my dream. I'm doing my dream right now. It will take me a long time to build it to a scale I want it to be, to reach the people I want it to reach. But I'm currently doing my dream. I'm living it. So I'm happy. I don't mean to be morbid. I could drop dead tomorrow and be like, well, I wouldn't be able to think about it, but it would be a Jake died doing what he loved, honestly. So I think people need to be a bit more self-aware and stop believing what they're being pushed on social media.
Yeah, so many ways, and it's not. The thing is, promoting your business or your idea or your podcast, like, that's important.
Yeah,
but it's when I feel that people promote themselves. Or like their lifestyle. It's like,
why are you justifying what you're doing? You
don't need to do that. So it's quite a lesson in humility, to have to not prove to the world that you're doing what you want to do and all that. But no, and the thing is, you mentioned, you'll be happy when it gets to a scale. But can you give me a number? When will you be happy?
It's like with bodybuilding. I guess you're never happy, are you? And I know what you're alluding to, and that's a really good point to make, because when people are getting, I want my dream physique, you're never going to have your dream physique. You just won't, because you'll hit, you'll gain the size in your quads, and then you realize they're not big enough. You'll get striated glutes and be like, nope, they're not. I'm not peeled enough. I need to be better next time. It's never ending. Someone's always going to be bigger than you. Someone's always going to be doing better than you subjectively. You're in a rat race, if you see it like that, you're always caught in the race and you can never escape. So I think you're right there. It's actually quite good for you to make that point, because I haven't got a number in my head. I'm lying. If I'm like, what is this scale? I'm just making that up on the spot, really. But I guess when I did the first episode, I was like, I want this to be the number one mental health podcast out there, and self-help. And I think that's something. But then equally, how am I going to, apart from charts, being able to see that in future, might take me donkey's years to reach that, but as long as I can help one person, that's goal achieved. And I think I'm on course to doing that. I think I've managed to, through these conversations, through delving into my personal life as well, I think that I've managed to get people thinking, get people talking. So hopefully we're on to a winner.
I absolutely think you are. Having more forums where people can share their stories and to give their perspective, it helps. It was even listening to the Harry's one last week. A huge amount of perspective. On his journey and everything that he's done. It's good to know, because I can't speak for female cliques, but I can say for certain that in male cliques it is not spoken about. It's not something that we all sit around and talk about, really.
No, we don't, as much as we should be, and hence why I think that. And this isn't just a male-only podcast, but I think that having me at the helm as well does help, because it initially creates that first step into, he's a bloke, he's opening up. Therefore, that's one part done. So now it's to encourage other people to do so. And
Sure.
I mean, yeah. Before we sort of draw to a close, do you think in this space, well, just in general, do you think, because obviously we've alluded to, you've been through, as much as you've built the app, you've built the business, you've been through your struggles to get to that point, and you've probably locked up a lot of it and kept a lot of it to yourself. Do you think we're doing enough as men or people in society, but namely men as well, to talk about things, bring things to light, actually be a bit more open and vulnerable?
Absolutely not.
No,
not at all. Even I talk to my like my current girlfriend Lenka, who you've met and listens to the podcast as well.
Wicked. Thank you very much.
It's it's not at all. Like men, like you're just taught to bottle really. So things like this, I think are critically important. To build more balanced people. The world we live in is a very different world to what it was 10, 15, 20 years ago. The idea of being what it means to be a man or to be a woman, your identity in society is completely different.
Yeah.
But talking about your experiences is something that we should all do a lot more than we do. So no, I think you're definitely on something, Jake. Like having people come on to talk, through their experiences. Like even, do you remember there was a story on social media a while ago about women sharing their stories about sexual assault? I'm sure, and I remember it was like the big thing at the time. And I remember sitting down with my mum and my sister, and I'd never asked, like, have you ever? And they both had, and it was horrific. And it's like, hold on, how do I not know this?
Yeah.
Like, how is that not something I'm aware of? And like, my partner's experienced it. Loads of, women too have gone through like horrendous things, and you just don't know. And there's this thing of like, women don't know if you're a good guy or not. It's not tattooed on your forehead. I am not a bad guy. You don't know. And they all have, horrendous stories that, yes, you have movements like Me Too and things like that, but those are moments in time. It's not a consistent, now people talk about their experiences, how they're afraid to walk down the street at night. So no, having forums like this, I think you're making a massive difference.
I really do appreciate that. And again, like on that, I really do empower anyone that feels comfortable to come on to talk about something that they know will go so far to help just one other individual. I really do. Please do get in touch, because this is why I'm doing this. Anyone and everyone. It doesn't. This isn't just me cherry picking people. It's I want people that feel comfortable to come on. I honestly, Frazer, I really do appreciate that.
Not so.
To draw it to a close, and namely because of the subject of you being, in my opinion, a very successful individual, I want you to, if you can, if you were to tell somebody they've got a burning desire to start something and they don't know where to start or if they should start, what would you tell them?
I would ask, what is it that you want? And don't be if it's to be in charge of your own life, if it's to have financial, if it's just to change the world in your own little way, like answer that question first. You have to know what you want. Otherwise, how are you going to know if you were successful or not? And once you know what you want, sit down with yourself and really think about, are you willing to sacrifice everything that you have to make that thing come to life? Are you willing to sacrifice friendships, relationships, your health, your physical health, your mental health, everything? Are you willing to give it that? And if the answer is no, that's great. You have the answer and you've saved yourself years of anguish. But if you are willing to do it, and even that's a belief now, and those beliefs can change, then I would start. Now, I don't think you should go to your boss and hand in your resignation and just quit and get started. More power to you if you're that brave. I would just start working on the idea. But if you get home from work or it's a weekend and you don't want to do it, that's a signal. Yeah. Like if you're like, I just want to sit down, I just want to game, or I just want to do this, that's fine. But be at peace that that's what you want to do. It's not bad that you want to sit at home at the weekend and not work, or be in a garden, or just see your mates. That's not a bad thing, but it just means that that thing is more important to you than this thing. So like with you with bodybuilding, like if you eat the donut and you screw your prep up, the donut was more important to you than the prep.
Yep.
It's binary. So yeah, if you start small, start working on it, ignore social media. For the love of God, ignore social media. There'll be people doing the idea. If you have the idea, do not be afraid to tell people. Don't be afraid. You will be with Walk Up. I didn't tell anyone. No one's nicking your idea. Like the odds that you're talking to the person who has the fire, the desire, the burn,
same as you. Yeah.
The odds are 1 in 7 billion. Like it's so unlikely. So share the idea with people. Ignore naysayers. You know, people who are going to tell you, no, it's too hard, won't work. They're not the people. Don't listen to them. Like the amount of people that said no to us about Walk Up not working is countless. It's about you and your drive to make things work. So ask yourself what you want. Really dig into it. What is it that you want? Test that by starting small and seeing if in your spare time when you're tired, do you make progress with it? And then, ignore the naysayers, ignore social media, and just keep making progress.
It's wicked. No, I think, and even to interpret that myself as well, it's like also what you're alluding to is just be a bit more self-aware. You know, don't demonize your actions as well. If you want to do one thing, just accept it. You obviously don't want to do something else. Like it doesn't have to be I'm not good enough, I'm not this, that, and the other. It's like, no, just accept who you are. But I guess that comes from asking yourself the questions first and actually having that time to sit down with yourself, with your own head, with your own mind, your thoughts, and think about what do you want out of your life? What do you want to do? And if it's a passion enough and you're willing to put yourself through it, then you will find the time. There isn't a day, there isn't a start and end to a day. It's just a running period of time to fit in things as and when you can. Yeah. It's
a simple formula, but hard to execute. But there's just one more reminder that like there's so many ways to be happy. You know, I have friends who, you know, who have gorgeous families, you know, and right, they might not have as much financial freedom, but that's what's important to me. But I look at those friends and I look at what they have and I'm like, my God, like, and they're happy. It's not about if it's not about money in the bank. It's not about what you drive, clothes you wear, something. It's not about that. It's about what makes you happy.
Yeah.
And if financial freedom is important to you, I understand it is. And for those people that it is, it's impossible to get rid of. But yeah, there's so many ways to be happy. It's building a business and being that level of that version of successful is not the only one.
That's wicked. No, great authentic way to bring it to an end there, mate. I think people will get a lot out of that. Hopefully there's individuals out there now that feel a bit more confident as well to get started with their own journeys. Just try something. Just try. If you feel like if you feel compelled enough, just give it a go. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
Frazer, it's been an amazing episode having you on. I really do hope that we can, come together again in future and
love to
talk about things as well. And we'll stay in touch. So thank you very much for coming on and delving into your journey. And we will speak again in future, I'm sure.
Sounds good. Thanks, mate. See you in a bit.
Thanks, mate.